I think when Dawson and I met, it really was a divine appointment. We were in the same church and attending a little men's Bible study, a total of 6 of us. That was most of the men in the whole church. And that's where we became friends. And it was just quite interesting. We bonded early on. He was speaking for Campus Crusade, some for Youth for Christ, some. They would hire him to come in and do rallies or events. He did some for Billy Graham. He would do the high school version of Billy Graham Crusades. If you didn't know Dawson McAllister, he was a really, really gifted teacher. Most of what he did was for students and young adults. He would call it bubblegum theology, but in fact, he could teach the deep truths of God in a very understandable and transferable way. Gifted at that. But the student conferences were really quite amazing because as he taught through these things, youth groups would come in from as far sometimes as 500 miles away. We estimated that he probably had spoken to around over a million kids at conferences. You know, kids are so much more honest and open than adults, so much more ready to respond, and you could see that, and it was incredibly powerful. And I said, I know you love media. We've talked about this before. We got to think about radio. And so we did. The last Sunday in January 1991, we went on the air the first time with the show we called Dawson McAllister Live, a call-in show for teenagers, 13 to 21. And that's when it started. They figured thousands and thousands had tried to get in and couldn't. So we did an hour and a half, and it was nonstop. And he absolutely loved it because that's the first time he'd actually got to talk to kids on the radio. We'd hit all the hard topics. We talked about sexuality, we talked about abortion, we talked about suicide. So that's how the show grew. As we're now called the HopeLine, this is where the HopeLine began. Because about 6 months into the show, Dawson said, this just feels like a Gee, I'm Sorry radio show. He said, they call in, I get to talk for 5 minutes, and then I have to say, gee, I'm sorry, I hope you've got someone in your life. Do you have a youth pastor, a parent? Who can you talk to about this? Because you need somebody else to talk to. And so about 6 months in, the October of 1991, we started the HopeLine, which was simply an 800 number, staffed by volunteers, that would take calls during the show and for a couple hours afterwards. And so that continued to grow. And so throughout the 90s, the HopeLine just grew and grew based on volunteers, based on 800 numbers. And that's how the HopeLine grew. As a staff, we have a prayer time every Tuesday and Thursday morning. And Dawson was having some medical complications, and this is during COVID. We're all praying, and we're praying for Dawson intensely at that moment. And we finished praying, and his voice went, "Amen," from the phone. And he said to us, look, I want to tell all of you how proud I am of you. I want to tell you that I love you all very much and that I believe the greatest days of the ministry are ahead. And that was at 9:30 in the morning that Thursday. And at 5 o'clock he had the surgery, and after the surgery he didn't make it, he passed away. So those were the last conversation we ever had with him. It was a prophetic conversation because he basically encouraged us, number one, to move forward, and number two, he spoke a truth that we didn't even recognize, that God really was about to bless it even more than it had been. We had to convene a board meeting and talk about what's next, and that was an interesting meeting. Do we go on? Does God want us to go on? And almost to a person, they said, well, I hope you're going to go on because you've got to go on. You're serving kids. And they said that hasn't changed. Are there still kids to serve? Yes. Well, you need to go on. He was a guy of incredible faith. He always expected God to come through, no matter what. So I don't think he'd be surprised, but I think he'd be incredibly thrilled that it's gone on. The ministry was called the Dawson McAllister Association for years. And after radio ended and the HopeLine was growing, we introduced a resolution to change the name of the ministry officially to the HopeLine, which he heartily endorsed. So in some sense, he had a hand in setting it all in motion to where we are today. It is still his legacy. There's a great quote that I saw not too long ago. Legacy is not celebrating what you've done. Legacy is what you set in motion. And he set a great deal in motion. At one point, the HopeLine was worked out of a couple of call centers. Technology has allowed us to open up to where we have Hope coaches in 8 different time zones around the world as we operate a 24/7 HopeLine. That's astounding, and that's only growing. We had over 300 suicide interventions last month alone on the HopeLine. We're averaging 12% of all the calls we get. We're going to have 30,000 answered chats this year, and 12% of them are going to be suicide interventions. We have an internship working right now, and so now we've got this partnership where we're helping to train others to do what we do on the ground where they're at in their own ministries. The other thing that we're working on right now is an event. And obviously, we were really good at events back in the day. We had conferences, and after going completely one way, we're moving back because we're saying, how do we get upstream of the problem? Instead of just being the only ones, why don't we go out and train parents and train youth workers how to have these really challenging conversations? And so the HopeLine goes on. So I see us getting better and better in our reach is growing, our technology is growing, our quality is growing, our business savvy is growing. I just keep praying for God's favor so that we can continue to grow and get more professional in all things. We have a major goal right now, and that vision is to grow 10 times bigger than we are right now. If we answer 30,000 live chats this year, a few years from now, why couldn't we answer 300,000 live chats? And now let me be crazy. Why couldn't we one day have 3 million live chats? How many millions of students and young adults are there in the world? Tens and tens and tens, hundreds of millions. We're just scraping the top off the iceberg here. There is so much more that we could do. Why not us? Why not now? We know how to do it. We know how to scale. And no one else is really doing what we're doing the way we do it. And so I believe God has called us for such a time as this, to grow, to expand, and to be better than we've ever been, because he's led us to this far. Why not more? And so at its core, who is the Hope? The HopeLine is really a communications company. And what do we communicate? Well, our mission is really to nurture young people through crisis to Christ. And that hasn't changed. That's what we've done from the very first day. That's what Dawson did his entire career, to nurture young people through crisis to Christ. He used to say, I want to go to the worst, and I want to go there first. He used to say of the HopeLine, I want to build a rescue shop a yard from hell. The HopeLine today is the grown-up version of what he wanted to do years ago. It is indeed a rescue shop a yard from hell. And what we say to students, and it's right on the front page of our website, is that you deserve to be heard and understood. And that's what we've always done as well. Hopefully, we're doing it better than we ever have, but it's really pretty simple. Methods change. Who knows what new technology is going to come along? AI is here right now, and we're working, how do we figure out to use AI? But in the end, those are just tools for doing what we've always done and always intend to do, to nurture students and young people through crisis to Christ.